Tēnā koutou katoa. Tonight on City News, Rotorua wins the bid to host the 2015 Local Government New Zealand Conference. Lizzie Marvelly wows visitors to Skyline with an impromptu pop-up concert, and the Rotorua BMX Club is proud of their riders competing at this week's World Champs in the Netherlands. Rotorua will be the focus of local government in July next year when over 500 delegates from 78 local authorities descend on the city for the 2015 Local Government New Zealand, or LGNZ, conference. LGNZ represents the country's local, regional and unity authorities and is involved in advocacy for local democracy and developing local government policy. Rotorua Mayor Steve Chadwick says the annual conference is a critical coming together of councils from across the country, along with stakeholders from central government and industry. She says RDC is a strong supporter of LGNZ as it facilitates a strong and unified voice and is a key interface of advocacy and communication with central government. Local pop star Lizzie Marvelly not only shared her musical talent at her concert at the Civic Theatre, she also performed a special pop-up concert event at Skyline. Last week, the classical crossover pop star performed her latest material from her EP Collisions for her fans and invited guests at the Civic Theatre. The following day, I was lucky enough to spend some time with Lizzie at the Skyline appearance.
The last couple of years have been very much about being true to myself, and you know, I had an amazing experience when I was singing classical crossover, and I travelled the world and, you know, had just met some amazing people. But I realised that I didn't really love the music anymore, and for me, I have to love the music. So, you know, the choice to write my own music and to sing more pop was just purely a personal one. Collisions is my debut EP, as you said, and it's basically 5 songs that I wrote over the last 2 years, and I wrote with a couple of other artists and a lot of collaboration, and then wrote some things just me by myself. And it's about, you know, those 5 songs are kind of a snapshot of what I've been doing, what I've been going through over the last couple of years. So it's amazing to finally be able to share it with people.
The library is celebrating Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori with performances and workshops on the language. There's also special focus on the world's first app about Te Reo Māori. Tomorrow, Rotorua Girls High School is performing Waiata and Poi with Dr. Rapata Wiri's talk on the Te Reo Māori app coming up on Friday. For more information, you can visit Rotorua Library, that's one word, rotorualibrary.govt.nz. And local youngsters interested in a career working with animals had the chance during the holidays to take part in the Junior Keeper program trialled at Rainbow Springs. Senior Keeper Mark Patterson says the program is run at 3 levels depending on age group and provides practical application of skills taught on the course.
We've got a bunch of kids, so we ran a program at Rainbow Springs for 3 different age groups, so 7 to 9 year olds, 10 to 12 year olds and 13 to 16, which is a little bit more advanced. It's a day course. The older kids are a 2-day course, and they cover everything off from learning about reptiles to environments and hands-on stuff like actually handling animals, making enrichment items and going out into the park with the animals. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is very cool. How important is it to train our young people for this kind of stuff?
It's really important. There's not a lot of programs out there, and we try and make this a really educational program, but environments are changing, habitats are changing, and if we can start at the grassroots, hopefully some of these guys will go away and be a little bit more inspired and maybe make a difference in their own community as well. And these guys that have come on the program, they already have that innate interest anyway, so they're keen to do something, and this is a good start for them. And I think the education side's not just about the environment, but being a keeper means a whole lot of things. So we've got all the legislative requirements, like we work with DOC and vets and MAF and all those guys, SPCA and what have you. So they learn the whole lot. And then the reality check is most of the job's picking up poo. So you're out in the enclosures and there's a lot of cleaning. So I think that's the biggest reality check for them.
And by the way, folks, please give generously to hospice is the call as the local centre undertakes their annual telephone appeal. Marketing manager Jan Morgan says the appeal is an important part of hospice fundraising.
So this interview we're going to talk about the telephone appeal, which has started this week. So we have 8,000 numbers that we are going to call, and it's our second telephone appeal.
In sport tonight, 5 local riders from the Rotorua BMX Club are with the New Zealand team competing at the World Champs in Rotterdam in the Netherlands later this week. Rotorua Club President Melanie Short says all of the local riders qualified for the Worlds with strong showings at the Nationals.
For our younger generation, it's great to see them up there. It's not something that, you can just jump on a plane and go to Europe, for example, but we're really thrilled to have those 5 riders up there and we'll be celebrating, whatever they achieve, we'll be celebrating that when they get back.
To your weather update now. Tonight, fine weather, cold southwesterly breezes and an overnight low of another chilly 0. Tomorrow, Wednesday, fine again, possible frosts, southwesterlies, a high of 11 and a low of -1. Looking out to Thursday, fine again, morning frosts, southwesterly breezes, a high of 12 and a low of 1. To the marine forecast for Lake Rotorua for Wednesday, southwesterlies 15 knots, easing to 10 knots in the evening, waves less than half a metre, but fine conditions, so that's pretty good news. And remember, for program listings, check out our website, that's tvrotorua.co.nz, or of course you can head to our Facebook page, TV Rotorua. Still to come tonight on City News, we talk with New Zealand First candidate Fletcher Tapito about his reasons for standing this election. We preview the Watoto Children's Choirs concert on tomorrow night at the Harvest Centre, and we have highlights from the Rotorua Vintage and Veteran Car Club Swap Meet and Car Show held at the Paradise Valley Raceway.
Well, over the last couple of weeks, we've caught up with different candidates from the various political parties here in Rotorua. But today we're catching up with New Zealand First candidate Fletcher Tapito. Thanks for joining us today, Fletcher. Now, I guess the big thing we really need to talk to you about is there's specific issues around Rotorua and what New Zealand First can do to address those issues if and when yourself and Winston Peters gets more seats into Parliament. So what sort of things can New Zealand First offer Rotorua?
There's a lot of things that New Zealand First can offer Rotorua. We've got a long history of working for the regions, like Tauranga, linking in with Rotorua. There was those strong ties there for a long time. I've particularly got a platform around youth because that's where my experience is, 10 years in education, a couple of years up at the tertiary institution, and a lot of time working with youth engagement in the workplace. And then I'm an economist. So one of my specialist areas, so I hope to bring some knowledge and some understanding into regional development. So I'm really passionate about wanting to make Rotorua grow. I'm born and raised here, and for me it's just, we've been static for so long that if I can make a difference in some small way to making Rotorua grow, then I think I'm doing something right.
Let's talk about the youth for a minute, because here in Rotorua there's lots of different programs for youth at risk, there's leadership programs and things like that. How do we get our youth engaged and want to do these sorts of programs, and make them want to achieve for the future?
That's the challenge, and that's the challenge at the grassroots. So it's about having the right people talking and engaging with our youth. Now, I'm not measuring or making judgment on who's out there at the moment, but I know from my experience that when you're engaging with youth, that it's about the people who are doing it. And so some people have great successes. There are some really good youth programs here in Rotorua at the moment. And one of the other big challenges for a lot of these organisations, especially the government-funded ones and also the privately funded ones, is coordination, making sure the right organisations are having the right conversations with our youth at any given time. That coordination is the challenge, and I've been part of work in my different roles of trying to make that happen, and it's still ongoing and it's still a challenge. And really and truly, no one person can change everything, but what people should know is that I'm here to step into that space to try and make a difference.
Now, you mentioned you're a bit of an economist. Let's talk about fiscal policies of New Zealand First. How different are they from the National Party's fiscal policies?
Oh, geez, that's a big, broad question. Have you got a couple of hours, have you? I think I can confidently say, though, and tie it back to my platform around regional development, I don't think National's doing enough. You look at the budget that National recently released, Bill English, I think Aucklanders will be quite happy with what they saw. But I know, and I've talked to people in Rotorua, that we're not particularly happy with the budget. And, I genuinely think that Rotorua, for example, is the heart and the engine room of a lot of what's happening in New Zealand. You talk our three main areas of industry. You're talking forestry, tourism, horticulture, agriculture, and we're kind of just being left to it. There seems to be no national strategic plan, and I genuinely want to be part of something that can make those grow, because I tell you what, right at the moment, our timber trade overseas, especially to China, has just taken a dive, and I know there's nothing on the cards in terms of what the government's doing, because it's really going to affect our local economy.
So how many seats does New Zealand First need to win to get into, in Parliament to make any significant changes that will see some benefit here for Rotorua?
It's a tough question. I think if you look at our current situation, we came back from no seats to 8 seats at the moment. And if you look at specific policy areas, New Zealand First is making a difference at the moment, and that's with 8 MPs. They're adding a voice to a chorus of voices in areas where it matters. I think for me personally that, I said to my electorate supporters that last time we got 11% in Rotorua Wairiki, which is a strong showing for New Zealand First. I think if we do that again and build on that, 14, 15%, if I do the groundwork, if I get out there and talk to people and they see that I'm genuine about doing this, I think if we're doing that, then we're taking in 18 MPs if we get up to 14, 15%. And I'll tell you what, that you'd see a big difference, and you'd see some real leverage as far as New Zealand First is concerned when they're dealing with Labour or National.
Now, before we go, Fletcher, I've talked to lots of different MPs and the Prime Minister when they've come to town, and the one person I haven't had the chance to talk to is Winston Peters, and of course all you see is what you see on the news. So what's he like?
I tell you what, I've been with the party from the start, which is 21 years, and I've grown as an individual, gone on and done my own thing, and doing really well in the education sector at the moment. But he's one of the few people that I can still look up to, because I tell you what, he's still one of the smartest operators out there.
He likes to stir things out, doesn't he?
And that's the other thing. I don't work the same way, but he loves to stir it up, but he's always backs it up with the knowledge. He's done the research, he knows what he's talking about, and for me, he's just a smart operator.
Good stuff. I wish you best of luck for the elections.
Cheers man. Thank you.
Well, next week, the Rotorua Children's Choir is coming to Rotorua with their Concert of Hope, which is all about beautiful Africa. And we're down here at the Harvest Centre today, and we're catching up with Pastor Dave Moore to find out a little bit more about these amazing children coming to our city. Hi Dave, thanks for joining us today on City News. Now, awesome story for you, or for our viewers at home today. Rotorua Children's Choir from Uganda coming to visit our city once again. So it's a big celebration for music, really, and young people.
Oh, it is. It's an amazing privilege, really, to host them here in our city again. And so really looking forward to them coming. There's 22 children in the group that are coming, and the choir, and they're supported by 10 adults, and so we're really looking forward to hosting them here at the Harvest Centre next week. And they're an amazing story they have to tell. So these kids, they're all orphans, either orphans by war, their parents killed in war, or by disease, and in Africa AIDS is a terrible devastation there. So they've got an amazing story to tell, and they tell it through dance, through music and visual effects as well, and they tell their own stories as well. So really we're delighted to host them here in our city.
Now they're coming here next Wednesday. What time does the concert start?
Concert's at 7 o'clock, and it's a free concert. The concert's always free because they want as many people in the community to come and to be able to share in the event. So 7 o'clock, and it just runs for an hour and a quarter. So it'll all be finished by 7 o'clock start, all finished by 8:15.
Now, when you say children's choir, is it young people or are they teenagers?
Well, there's actually a mix. There's some young children, quite young, through to there are some teenagers, and they are supported by the adults. So it's a bit of a cross section of the kids. Yeah.
Now we caught up with some of them a couple of years ago when they were here in our city. Absolutely amazing kids, amazing amazing music, amazing stories.
Yeah.
So again, like you said, it's a real honour to have them here.
Well, it is, you know, and I think I know we have a lot of hardship in our own country, but when you hear the stories of these children, it really sort of puts it in perspective, I think. So I think, you know, anybody in our community that's maybe thinking, boy, it's tough, they'll certainly be inspired and encouraged by these kids, and challenged too, I think. So so it's a story of their devastation or tragedy turning into triumph or into hope, and so that message that comes through, you know, is a real it's a real blessing to be able to have them here.
How did this all start, Dave?
Well, the choirs have been travelling from Uganda since 1994. So obviously new children come each time. It really started with a pastor in Uganda, just seeing the devastation from the war and from the AIDS devastation, and so many orphans said we have to do something, and from that, so from a church, it's the Watoto choir. Well, that's the church actually was the name of the Watoto. That was the name of the church, and so that pastor started to connect both women who had become widows with the children who were orphans, and bringing them together, and now I see there's 2,000 children they're caring for. So it's a huge project, and so it really started small, but grew in a huge need there, and so the actual travelling is really to spread the news broader for the children and the women of Africa, to really to be able to have that story told, and the positive that's coming out of such tragedy.
Well, it's now 2014, 20 years these guys have been touring, so it's an amazing feat in its own right.
Well, it is, yeah. And I personally have had the privilege to hear them a couple of times, once in Australia and once here in Rotorua. And so we were just contacted about 6 months ago, say would we host them? We said absolutely, delighted to do so.
Now you've been here in your new Harvest Centre for about 6-7 months now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you can call it home now?
Oh, it is that, yeah. It's a wonderful facility. We're just so blessed to be here. So the children will be performing in the auditorium. That's a 350-seat auditorium, and that's where we have church on Sundays. That's great. And then there's an amazing cafe, or we call it our cafe, dining room, and other facilities here. So it's great. And we've got quite a number of people from the community come and go, use our facilities, and even got a wharenui on the back, a marae on the back that people stay, and so sometimes the whole deal happens. We have a wedding service in the auditorium. They have a meal in the cafe, and the family stay on the marae. So
you've got a hangi pit too, don't you?
Well, we have to. We're not actually functioning that yet. We're still on the process of renewing or restoring, but that's one of the things on our agenda. Yeah, gas-fired hangi pit to get that fired up.
Now, just in case someone at home has forgotten the kick-off time for this concert, what time do the doors open next Wednesday?
Okay, so it's Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Or the concert starts at 7. Doors will be open at 6:30. So free. They're welcome to come anytime after 6:30, and look forward to meeting with them and celebrating together with this choir.
Awesome. Cheers, Dave. Nice.
Awesome.
Highlights there from the annual Rotorua Vintage and Veteran Car Club Swap Meet and Car Show held recently at the Paradise Valley Raceway, and those images were shot by Graham Jones. The Swap Meet and Car Show has been running for more than 30 years, so great stuff guys, keep it up. If you have a news event TV Rotorua can support, call our office and talk with one of our friendly team on 0734 88984, or of course you can email us at news@tvrotorua.co.nz. And if you missed anything in tonight's show, you can watch it again at tvrotorua.co.nz. Thanks for having us at your place. From all the team here at City News, Pomari.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.